So one of the mitzvahs we find on Purim, which we're all familiar with, is the mitzvah of Mishloch Manish Ish L'Reyehu. The mitzvah of sending Manot, to sending gifts, usually food, to one's friend. And the minimum obligation, usually most of us go well over that, but the minimum obligation is 2 gifts, 2 types of foods, let's assume, to one person. And many of us give 20, 30, 40, 50. And as the Rambam writes, as always, it's better to be marbeh b'matanos l'avyonim. It's better to give more to the gifts to the poor, because that's the ikar simcha. The ikar joy is to keep other people who don't have as much, to make them happy. So let's discuss a little bit about the nature of the mitzvah u'mishalach manos. Actually, it's a pasuk in the Megillah Esther. U'mishalach manish ish l'reyehu u'matanos l'avyonim. So there's 2 basic schools of thought on what is the nature of the mitzvah of shalach manos. There's a famous explanation of the Trumat Hadeshen that the purpose of shalach manos is really part of another mitzvah of the day. Another mitzvah we have on Purim, besides we said shalach manos, matanos l'avyonim, kriyas ha-megillah, and having a suda. Having a suda's mitzvah meal, in contrast to Purim, where it's only praiseworthy, but on Purim one has an obligation to have a suda. So really, the Trumat Hadeshen says the shalach manos is part of that mitzvah. The mitzvah is to have, the mitzvah of shalach manos is to ensure that people have enough food for the suda. In fact, that's the some also point out could be behind matanos l'avyonim as well. That, in fact, from the Rambam seems to put the laws of shalach manos together with the laws of suda, which causes some to say as well that shalach manos is a din in the suda. Perhaps during the suda you should be giving out the shalach manos. But either way, that's the school of the Trumat Hadeshen, that the purpose of shalach manos is to ensure that people have food for the suda. However, the Manos Halevi, who's known for Friday night davening, the Chol Dol Diragbat, he points out that there's a different reason for shalach manos. The main reason of shalach manos is laharbas shalom b'Yisrael, in order to make peace, to foster relationships, perhaps to those who you maybe didn't hit it off so well, to rekindle the relationship and try to make peace in Klal Yisrael. So the major purpose of shalach manos is for shalom. So that's the Trumat Hadeshen. It's hard to say it's a machlokes when the Trumat Hadeshen is a classical posek and the Manos Halevi is not, but nevertheless the Chasim Sofer brings it down, and others, that there are 2 schools of thought on what is the nature of the mitzvah of shalach manos. Is it for the purpose of having that people have enough food to eat at the suda, or is it because of shalom, of peace? My nafkamina, we're all zealous Jews and we want to fulfill our mitzvahs anyway, whether the mitzvah is shalom or the mitzvah of suda. What's the difference? Either way, I'm going to do shalach manos on Purim. So what is the issue? So in fact, there's a famous Ramah. The Ramah writes, what about the following scenario? Let's say you go, and so today it's not that practical in the sense that we give 50 shalach manos, 30, 40, but if you're only giving 1, and you go to someone, you offer them shalach manos, and they say thanks, but no thanks, I have enough candy in my house, I have enough things, thank you, but I'm not going to accept it. The question is, do you fulfill your mitzvah of Shalach Manos Ish L'Reyehu? If you offer, that's the only Shalach Manos you're going to be doing, and you made an offer, and the person declined, do you get the mitzvah of Shalach Manos Ish L'Reyehu? So the Rama writes that even if a person is mochel Yatsa. That the Rama writes, you do get your mitzvah. Even if the person doesn't accept, you do get the mitzvah. So the Binyan C and others point out, why is it then, according to the Rama, anyway, that by Shalach Manas, if you offer, and they say no thanks, you still get the mitzvah. But when it comes to another mitzvah, the Matanas Lavionim, if you offer Matanas Lavionim and they don't accept, so Pasha should not Yotze. So what's the distinction? Why Shalach Manas yes, Matanas Lavionim no? So the Binyan team wants to point out from the Psukim, it's Umishalach Manas Israel Umatanas Lavionim. The mitzvah is to send Umishloach Manas. But by Matanas Lavionim, it's Matana, a gift which implies miyad liyad, from hand to hand, that you have to actually take it. So, whatever the reasons are, that's what the Rama paskins. The Rama paskins, by Shalach Manas, you are Yotze. So which school of thought is the Rama working with? So, if according to Trumas Hadeshen, the purpose of Shalach Manas is for the Suda, is for food, so you can't eat a thank you, you're not taking anything, so according to Trumas Hadeshen would follow, you should not be Yotze. So the Rama seems to be working with the Manos Halevi, that the purpose of Shalach Manas is Shalom, is to foster relationships, and hence, even if he doesn't accept, you get the mitzvah of the Shalach Manos. That could be one practical difference. Another difference between them, as we touched on in the beginning, is, does it have to be a food item? It's a Trumas Hadeshen. He doesn't give this example, but let's say you gave someone an iTouch, a BlackBerry, a big screen TV, a computer. I think they would prefer that over a box of raisins or a can of soda. So let's say someone gave someone a non-food item. Can you fulfill your mitzvah? U'mishalach manas Israel. In fact, they say over, whether it's true or not, but I think the Manos Halevi, that the Manos Halevi actually, we discussed that people gave over different svarim for Shalach Manas. Again, if you have two food items, it won't be an issue, but the question is, can you give a non-food item? So according to Trumas Hadeshen, at the purpose of Shalach Manas is to Suda, so you can't eat a book, you can't eat a computer, so it shouldn't be good. But according to the Manos Halevi, you're fostering a lot of Shalom, and therefore it should be good. Another nafkamina, another practical difference between the two is, what about an anonymous giver? What do you mean anonymous giver? Let's say you show up, you come back from shul, you're out delivering the Shalach Manas, and you find a big, nice, beautiful food package of Shalach Manas, but there's no name on it, so you don't know who gave it to you. So there's that person who sent it, does he get the mitzvah? So if the mitzvah is Suda, if the purpose of the meal, if the purpose of Shalach Manas is for food, so then what's the difference? Who gave it to you? You could eat it, and therefore you get the mitzvah. However, if the mitzvah is Shalom, then perhaps one could argue you don't know, the person doesn't know who gave it to you, and therefore you're not fostering a relationship, unless maybe you want to argue maybe he knows someone in the community likes him. But Pashas, that could be another nafkamina on whether it's a din in Suda or a din in Shalom. In fact, someone will bring a proof for the Trumas Hadeshen from the case of Purim Mishulish B'Yerushalayim. It's called a 3-day Yantif when Purim. So this year Purim falls out on Sunday. But when Purim falls out on Shabbos, which you can't do on our calendar, but in Yerushalayim you can, so they break up the different mitzvahs of the day. So there's a discussion when you do the Megillah, the Shalach Manas, the Matanos Lavionim. But what the Mefarshim point out is, whenever you're doing this, what the Gemara already tells us, the Megillah is connected to Matanos V'Avyonim. Where does the Gemara tell us that? The Gemara wants to know, why don't we read Megillah on Shabbos? So the Gemara gives a famous answer of Zera de Rabbah, that Rabbah made a decree that in order to prevent Chilul Shabbos, to prevent desecration of the Shabbos, we're afraid people are going to carry. Therefore they said no Megillah Day. Just like we find by when the first day of Sukkot falls out on Shabbos, or the first day of Rosh Hashanah falls out on Shabbos, we say Gzeira de Rabbah. However, the Gemara gives us a second answer. That imagine the scene all year round, the poor people are waiting for Matanos V'Avyonim, and then when you get you read the Megillah on Shabbos, they'll say, sorry, I don't have any money, it's Shabbos. So it will be a very tremendous disappointment to the Aniyim. The Aniyim are waiting all year round for the tremendous mitzvah of Matanos V'Avyonim. So we see the sensitivity of Chazal. They said no Megillah today. So we see there's a connection. Whenever you read the Megillah, yesterday you do Matanos V'Avyonim. And others connect, not the Gemara, the Rishonim, Achronim, that whenever you have the Suda, that's the day you have, whether you have the Suda on Shabbos or you have the Suda on Sunday, that's the day you'd have Shalach Manos. So we see that it's a connection between the mitzvah of Shalach Manos and it's a din in Suda. In fact, there's a famous Gemara in Megillah, Daf Zayin Amabeis. There were two brothers who were very poor, and they couldn't afford to send Shalach Manos. So instead, they swapped meals they were planning to eat. That's how the simple reading of the Gemara is, that they switched meals. However, Rashi offers a different pshat. They didn't switch meals, but they invited each other to the Purim Suda during consecutive years, meaning in order to spare the other brother expense. So one year they'd have it by them, and 1 year they'd have it with the brothers. The question is, we know the Shalach Manos is an annual mitzvah. It's not a biannual mitzvah. So how could it be? How did they fulfill the mitzvah of Shalach Manos? So the Magen Avram infers from this Rashi a tremendous chiddush, that if you don't have the Suda, so you're exempt from the mitzvah of Shalach Manos, which would make sense according to the Trumas Hadeshin. If you assume Shalach Manos is a din in the Suda, so then one would not have to be exempt because he's poor, whatever the situation, he would have Shalach Manos. So we see another raya that is correct to Trumas Hadeshin. So we had different nafkaminas, whether you could be mochel, whether it's a non-food item, or whether an anonymous giver. Some discuss also whether the food has to be already prepared or not. Does it have to be cooked already? If it, or perhaps that since it's right to be cooked, so that's good enough. So that's the machlokas Trumas Hadeshin and the Manas Halevi. So the question is, it's a famous question, not limited to Shalach Manos, but it's a general question. The post Gemara Ba'alabah, we know Chazal instituted brachas on many mitzvahs. We make brachas on mitzvahs min Torah, we make brachas on mitzvahs midrabanan, and we make mitzvahs on minhagim. And different certain minhagim Yom Tov Sheni we do, certain minhagim Arava we don't. We have seems to be a machlokas Sfardim Ashkenaz, machlokas Rishonim, Chatzi Hala and Rosh Chodesh, which is in a minute. But we make brachas on mitzvahs min Torah, mitzvahs midrabanan. So the question is, where's the bracha when we're going to deliver the Shalach Manos? How come we don't make a bracha? So some give the famous answer of the Tshuvas Harashba, that why don't we make a bracha on tzedakah all year round? So again, different interpretations of what the Rashba means, but the Rashba says that the concern is that maybe the poor person won't take it, and therefore you end up, what's going to happen? You're going to make a bracha, and he's not going to take it, it'll be a bracha l'vatala. So it's dependent on someone else. So it's tali b'das acherim. It's dependent on someone else, and therefore we don't make a bracha, a birchas ha-mitzvah, when it's dependent on someone else. That's the famous Chuvas Rashba, that there's no bracha on tzedakah. They say al-pi, we'll give different reasons shortly, but that's the famous Chuvas Rashba. So therefore, someone to say as well, so maybe that's the reason why as well that you can't make a bracha on shalach mana, is because it's dependent on the person receiving it, and the receiver will be a bracha l'batala. So this is good according to the Trumas Hadeshen, who says that the purpose of Shalach Manas is a Suda, and therefore it's result oriented, you have to actually receive it. So then we can use this answer according to the Trumas Hadeshen. However, according to the Manas Halevi and according to the Ramah, who writes that Mechil works, that I'm Yoti my Mishalach Manas even if you don't accept it, so Hada Kasha Ladukta, where is the bracha? So there's a famous answer of the Rambam, Maimonides, in general, why don't we make a bracha on a mitzvah, why don't we make a bracha on all these different type of mitzvahs? The Rambam has a principle then that they learn out from, that the Rambam says you only make brachas on mitzvahs ben adam lamakom, commandments between man and God. But commandments ben adam l'chavero, Chazal never instituted a bracha. So on all mitzvahs, there's a general principle of the Rambam. On mitzvahs ben adam l'chavero, you don't make a bracha, so the question doesn't come off. And in fact, some point out that you don't want, what's the reason behind the Rambam? Because imagine someone comes to your door and says, poor person, he wants to get food, he's hungry, he wants to get food. So he goes, so you say, sure, you go into your kitchen, you bring out some food, and say, wait a second. Baruch Ata Hashem, you start making a bracha. At the time you finish the bracha, he drops dead, so to speak. So when the bracha is going to take away from the mitzvah, the ani is suffering, so Chazal didn't want to do anything that would take away from the mitzvah, that you can do the mitzvah as soon as possible, and take away the pain of the ani. So you could say according to the Ramah that he goes like the Rambam, that on mitzvahs be'amal chaveiro one doesn't make a bracha. So perhaps you can even say, even if he doesn't hold like the Rambam, even if you hold normally you do make brachas be'amal chaveiro, maybe you do, maybe you don't. There are other maybe he works with the Rashba's klal, but maybe you could say another reason. The famous 3-day Aish. This 3-day Aish talks about why don't we make a bracha on Shalach Manas, especially according to the Ramah, but it's not dependent on someone else. So he goes through the Gemara in Kiddushin on Daf Lamed Aleph. The Gemara discusses the sugya of Gadol ha-Mitzvah v'yoseh misha'ena Mitzvah v'yoseh. The Gemara talks about what is it greater? Is it greater to do a mitzvah that you commanded, or is it greater to volunteer and do a mitzvah? So the Gemara's conclusion is Gadol ha-mitzvah v'yoseh. Greater is the one who does a mitzvah who is commanded than one who volunteers. And Tosfos points out over there, it's not because in a certain sense volunteering is greater, but in the sense that it's much harder to do. When you have someone over you, child psychology, you tell them the opposite. No one likes being told what to do, so it's much harder to do it when you have to do something. When you're just volunteering, it's easier. So the anxiety, the worry about having to do something, that's what I mean. So whatever the pshat is, that's the conclusion of the Gemara. Gadol ha-mitzvah v'yoseh misha'ena mitzvah. Greater is the one who does a mitzvah is commanded than one who doesn't. So on the other hand, we find also. So that's what the 3-day Aish writes. That's the Gemara in Kiddushin. So he points out, but that's only true when you do, let's say, commit. You have mitzvahs be'am l'makom. You have mitzvahs. We make the bracha. We want to make it clear that you're doing Ratzon Hashem, and that's part of Gadol ha-Mitzvah v'yoseh, making it clear. the 3-day rights. But what's the whole purpose of Sholach Manos? As Manos Halevi writes, it's to foster relationships, to have a Shalom B'Yisrael. So it makes no sense. You're about to say, okay, I want to create a friendship with you. 1 second. Baruch Atah Hashem, I'm only doing it because I have to do it. So in that case, he says, even though normally Gadol Matul V'Yoseh, and to show you doing it because God wants me to do it, but when the purpose is Shalom, is to be Marbe Shalom, so you shouldn't accentuate the bracha. You do it without the bracha because it's counter to what the whole purpose of the mitzvah is. That's what the 3-day writes. There's no mitzvah, there's no bracha on Sholach Manos because we want to focus on the friendship part. If you make the bracha, it looks like you're doing it because you have to. Like he quotes like the famous Rambam in Shmona Prakim, that the Rambam makes as the famous discussion he had with the Greek philosophers, a discussion, what's the highest level to perform a mitzvah? Is it to work on yourself and you feel that that's the way I should be, to be nakim and to be totally free from desires? Or no, the higher level is I'm doing it because God told me to do. Really, I want to eat non-kosher, but what can I do? My God in heaven said I can't. Why am I doing this? So the Rambam writes, if it wasn't for our Nevi'im, I would have said like the philosophers, but the prophets have told us it's greater to do a mitzvah. It's greater, it's the highest level is to do it because Kach Siva Hashem. Because to say it, because that I'm doing it, I really want to do the Aver. What can I do? God in heaven told me not to, and therefore I won't. So, however, the Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim, he qualifies it. That's only on half the story. On Mitzvahs ben Adam Lamakom, that's when he says it. The people have the opposite. When it comes to pig, treif, I can't, I want to eat this, I'm not eating this, it's disgusting. When it comes to stealing, yeah, I really would love to steal, but I'm concerned I might get caught. So it's the opposite. When it comes to Adam Lamakom, then you focus on Kach Siva Hashem. When it comes to Mitzvahs ben Adam Chavero, the 3-day, and based on the Rambam on Nevuchim writes, it's to create the feeling, and therefore that's why we don't make a bracha. And in fact, that's why, and that's the famous distinction they make between, they use the terms interchangeably, but between chesed and tzedakah. What's the difference? The Gemara tells us in Sukkah, in 3 ways, chesed is greater than tzedakah. Chesed can be done to the living and the dead. Tzedakah only to the living. Chesed can be done to the rich and the poor, etc. And chesed can be done with bodily exertion. Tzedakah only with money. So the Maharal points out not only is there a quantitative difference, but there's a qualitative difference. The qualitative difference is that what's the classic case of chesed in the Torah? It comes from Avram Avinu. When he was recovering from his bris milah, these angels dressed up as people came down. So Avram went out of his way to do God. In fact, he was in the middle of speaking to God, and God said, and Avram warned out, Gedola haknasazarcha mikabalas b'nei hashchina. Greater is entertaining the midst of entertaining guests than it is to speaking to God. So, and we learn it out from Abraham. But angels don't eat. So the whole purpose of the scenario is that God got for Avram to do a chesed. So the whole purpose of chesed is that it's for yourself to grow. And so chesed is for ourselves more, but it's all in a selfish way, in a good way. While tzedakah is like you see a poor person, so of course you have a gift. Tzedakah is more result oriented. Like the Gemara says, even if you don't have kavanah, you drop $20 out of your pocket and nobody picks it up. A poor person picks it up, you get the mitzvah. You don't need the kavanah. But when it comes to chesed, part of you becoming a better person is if it's with the kavanah. Obviously, if you didn't know you gave tzedakah, how are you going to become better? You get a mitzvah of tzedakah. That's what they point out here. That the purpose of shalach manos is, halacha l'machmer. So we try to give food, and in fact, poskim say you should try to give food that's already made to be eaten, like the Trumas Hadeshen. However, as well, the purpose of shalach manos as well is to be marbe shalom. In fact, to conclude, there's a famous pshat from Menachem Zember in the Shiras Yosef quotes, and based on the Gemara in Megillah Daf Yud Beis. We want to say this, the machlokes between the Trumas Hadesh and the Manos Levi. It's based on the Gemara in Megillah. The Gemara in Megillah has the famous question: is why did the Suda? What did God do? What did the Jewish people do that brought the decree of Haman lahashmig laharag, is called Yehudim Tavtin Nashim? So they asked, I think it was Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. He says, well, he was into interactive teaching as well. Tell me what you think, students. So he says, Shenena misudat Achashverosh, because they got benefit from the suda of Achashverosh, the Jews, the big party that he had. So the question is, that's good, he said, but that only explains that people in Shushan should have been punished. Why was the whole Klal Yisrael punished? He said, you're right. So they say, for another reason, they bowed down to idols during the time, and even though the Nebuchadnezzar, but it was only outwardly, they didn't really mean it, so therefore God never really brought the decree either, it's only outwardly, and the decree got returned. So the Gemara gives two different reasons why the decree of destroying Jews came about. Either because Shenena misudat Achashverosh, they enjoyed the suda of Achashverosh, or because of Avodah Zarah. So Rabbi Menachem Zeva points out these are the issues. The Trumas Hadeshen, who says the purpose of Shalach Manos is the Suda, since the Avera that caused the decree was Shenena misudat Achashverosh, they went to the meal of Achashverosh. So therefore, how do you rectify the sin? By going ahead and having a Suda, having a meal with Shem Mitzvah on Purim. However, according to the other school, I thought Avodah Zarah, that brought about. So what kind of role does Shalach Manos play? So as the Medrash always tells us, Medrash Tanchuma, Parashat Tzav, Gadol HaShalom, Sha'afil Yisrael Ovdim Avodah Zarah, Ein Midas Adin Nogavam. That we say Gadol HaShalom, even if you worship idols, but there's peace among us, and that's what the Haman Rayeshto Amecha Mefuzar. That the Haman, that was the reason why Haman brought the decree. He realized the Jews were fighting with one another. When the Jews are fighting, God's unhappy. So perhaps these two schools of thought, the Suda and the Shalom, they get the source from this Gemara about the two possibilities. Since the Megillah itself never gives us the reason what sin caused the decree, so these are different explanations. A very interesting pshat from Menachem Zember that perhaps these two reasons of Shenena misudas Achashverosh and Avodah Zarah, that ties into the two schools of thoughts of Shalach Manos, that if it's the Suda, we enjoy the Suda, the Shalach Manos. We have a Suda, the purpose of Shalach Manos is for the Suda, and we have a Sudas Mitzvah, or to be Bar B'Shalom, and that's why we accept both of them. The purpose is for Shalom, and therefore we try to fulfill both the Shalom aspect as well as the Suda aspect.